Presently, I'm reading the critical edition of Shakespeare. The ardent Shakespeare is the established scholarly edition of Shakespeare's play. Now in its third series, Arden offers the best in contemporary scholarship. Each volume guides you to a deeper understanding and appreciation of Shakespeare's work. The edition of Julius Caesar provides a clear and authoritative text edited to the highest standard of scholarship, detailed notes and commentary on the same page as a text. Then you have a full illustrated introduction to the play's historical, cultural, and performance context. And you have an in-depth survey of critical approaches to the play, a full index to the introduction and notes. So the wealth of helpful and incisive commentary, the ardent Shakespeare is the finest edition of Shakespeare you can find. So that's what I'm reading. It's an old book, so it is torn from where it's written William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, edited by David Daniel Bloomsbury. So I'm going to read the most famous speech from this particular book, that is by Antony. So when he's talking to his countrymen when Caesar is dead, and he says, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears." That means, listen to me. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. So I'm just come here to bury him without saying anything much. Because then he goes on to say, the evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. He says whatever the men they've done evil, it lives after them. But whatever good a person does, it's once they are dead, it's gone. So let it be with Caesar, he says. So let it be the same with the great Caesar. Then this is a piece dripping in sarcasm. And he says, the noble Brutus had told you Caesar was ambitious. He says, you just heard what Brutus told you, that Caesar was very ambitious. If it was so, it was a grievous fault. And he goes on to say, and grievously had Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, and so are they all honorable men. So you can see the sarcasm that drips from the lines that he talks. And Antony actually is a great orator. Further he says, come to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man, and he had brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransom did the general's coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disapprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts. and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. He's like taken on by emotion. He says, just give me some time. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it comes back to me. Just look at that. You get goosebumps when he talks like that. So then one plebeian. Now, plebeian means one of the people there in the crowd says, methinks there's much reason in his sayings. The second person there says, if thou consider rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong. So the third plebeian there, has he masters? I fear there will a worse come in his place. Fourth plebeian, mark ye his words. He would not take the crown. Therefore, 'tis certain he was not ambitious. Then again, the first plebeian speaks. If it be found so, some will dare abide it. Second plebeian, poor soul, his eyes are red as fire with weeping. Third plebeian, there's not a nobler man in Rome than Antony. Fourth plebeian, now mark him. He begins again to speak. So while Antony is taking a pause, there are people who are talking amongst themselves in the crowd. So Antony begins again. But yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now lies he there, and none too poor to do him reverence. O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men, and I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself with and you, than I will wrong such honorable men, he says. So now he comes up with his will, Caesar's will, and he's talking about that. But here's a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. Let but the commons hear his testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read, and they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wound, and dip their napkins in his sacred blood, yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto this issue. Fourth plebeian, we'll hear the will, read it, Mark Antony. So all, the will, we will hear Caesar's will. Antony, have patience, gentle friends. I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood, you are not stones, but men, and being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it will inflame you, it will make you mad. 'Tis good you know not that you are his heirs, for if you should, oh, what would come of it? So the fourth plebeian says, read the will, we'll hear it, Antony. You shall read us the will, Caesar's will. Antony, will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I've overshot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men, whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it. The fourth plebeian, they were traitors, honorable men? All, the will, the testament. Second plebeian, they were villains, murderers. The will, read the will. Antony, you will compel me then to read the will? Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar, and let me show you him that made the will. Shall I descend? And will you give me leave? All, come down. Second plebeian, descend. Antony comes down from the pulpit. First plebeian, you shall have leave. Fourth plebeian, a ring. Stand around. First plebeian, stand from the hearsay, stand from the body. Second plebeian, room for Antony, most noble Antony. Antony, nay, press not so upon me. Stand far off. All, stand back. Room, bear back. Now Antony next to Caesar's corpse. He says, if you have tears, prepare to shed them now. You all do know this mantle, I remember. The first time ever Caesar put it on, it was on a summer's evening in his tent. That day he overcame the Nervi. Look, in this place ran Cassius' dagger through. See what a rent the envious Casca made. Through this the well-known, well-beloved Brutus stabbed. And as he plucked his cursed steel away, mark how the blood of Caesar's followed it, as rushing out of doors to be resolved, if Brutus so unkindly knocked or no. For Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel. Judge, O you gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindest cut of all. So you remember when he says, et you Brutus, and it's for anything, any unkind act like this or any traitor, one uses the word et you Brutus. So it's so heartbreaking when there's a betrayal by somebody whom you love so much. It's unthinkable, and that's what Shakespeare is so he's been able to bring out that emotion so beautifully in the speech, and that happens every second day and to every second person. So for when the noble Caesar, he goes on to say, for when the noble Caesar saw him stab, ingratitude more strong than traitors' arms quite vanquished him, then burst his mighty heart, and in his mantle muffling up his face, even at the base of Pompey's statue, with all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. What a fall was there, my countrymen! Then I and you and all of us fell down, whilst bloody treason flourished over us. Oh, now you weep, and I perceive you feel the dint of pity. Those are gracious drops, kind souls. What weep you when you but behold our Caesar's vesture wounded? Look you here he himself marred as you see with traitors. First plebeian, O piteous spectacle. Second plebeian, O noble Caesar. The third, O woeful day. Fourth plebeian, O traitors, villains. So Antony has been able to really incite the crowd, and again the first plebeian says, O most bloody sight. Second, we will be revenged, or revenge about seek, burn, fire, kill, slay. Let not a traitor live. Antony, stay, countrymen. First plebeian, peace here, peace there, hear the noble Antony. All, we'll hear him, we'll follow him, we'll die with him. Then Antony goes on to speak. Good friends, sweet friends, let me now stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. Let me not stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. They that have done this deed are honourable. What private griefs they have, alas, I know not, that made them do it. They are wise and honourable, and will no doubt with reasons answer you. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. I'm no orator as Brutus is, but as you know me all, a plain blunt man, that love my friend, and that they know full well they gave me public leave to speak of him. So just because he was a friend, Antony was a great friend of Caesar's, Brutus, etc., and his friends allowed him to speak, thinking that he has now joined their Jingbang. Antony continues, "For I have neither wit nor words nor worth, action nor utterance, nor the power of speech to stir men's blood. I only speak right on. I tell you that which you yourselves do know. Show you sweet Caesar's wounds, poor, poor dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. But were I Brutus, and Brutus Antony, there were an Antony would ruffle up your spirits and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar, that should move the stones of Rome to rise and mutiny." So he's building up that, because he's really been upset the way Brutus and his friends murdered Caesar. So all say, "We'll mutiny." We'll burn the house of Brutus. Third plebeian, "Away then, come seek the conspirators." Antony, "Yet hear me, countrymen, yet hear me speak." He says, wait a while, let me speak to you. So all of them want to listen to him. So they say, "Peace, ho, hear Antony, most noble Antony." Antony, "Why, friends? You go to do you know not what. Wherein hath Caesar thus deserved your loves? Alas, you know not. I must tell you then, you have forgot the will I told you of. All, most true, the will. Let's stay and hear the will." Antony, "Here is the will, and under Caesar's seal. To every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas. Second plebeian, "Most noble Caesar, we'll revenge his death." Third plebeian, "O royal Caesar." Antony, "Hear with patience." So all say, "Peace, ho." Antony, moreover, he says, so Antony goes on to say, "Moreover, he had left you all his walks, his private arbors, and new planted orchards. On this side Tiber, he hath left them you and to your heirs forever, common pleasures, to walk abroad and recreate yourselves. Here was a Caesar. When comes such another?" First plebeian, "Never, never. Come away. We'll burn his body in the holy place, and with the brands fire all the traitors' houses. Take up the body." The plebeians, "Go fetch fire." So another one speaks, "Pluck down benches." Fourth plebeian, pluck down forms, windows, anything. So the plebeians go away. They exit plebeians with the body. Antony, he says, "Now let it work. Mischief, thou art afoot. Take thou what comes, thou wilt." So these are also very famous words, lines. So that he's been able to incite the crowd, and many a people do it, like it or not. Sometimes it's for good or bad, but once you can, if a crowd rises, then it's very difficult to contain it. And so Antony says, "Now let it work. Mischief, thou art afoot. Take thou what comes, thou wilt." So the publishers are Bloomberry, and that is the ISBN for you. So you read the introduction, and in that, about the play, it's written, Julius Caesar is Shakespeare's first great tragedy. It tells the story of the conspiracy to kill Caesar, his assassination, and the civil war that followed, as Caesar's ghost bloodily pursued the chief murderers across the Roman world. Nothing like it had been seen on the stage before. It was a new kind of political play combining fast action. It is a short play, just over half the length of Hamlet, and compelling rhetoric. Julius Caesar and the people of Rome, patricians and plebeians alike, have an immediacy that can be felt. The recent history of Rome and of Caesar himself is rapidly and unobtrusively sketched. Yet in the first three acts, the momentum builds to the few seconds of the killing of Caesar and then builds again until Antony has so skillfully inflamed the mob that frenzied they tear an innocent man in pieces on stage, a man who was a poet and maker of good words. From that point, rhetoric, so cleverly used by the conspirators and by Antony, is overtaken by cruelty, revenge, and war. On the final battlefield, the two chief conspirators commit suicide with Caesar on their lips. And actually, he's written it so well. You got to really, I mean, Shakespeare actually is a genius, the way he writes. Very captivating. I mean, even while you read, you can feel the flow of the language, even though it is a little difficult. But, I mean, in those days, that was the language of the times, I'm sure. But whenever you pick up any of his plays, you get drawn to it. You want to. There's a certain kind of a poetic flow in whatever he writes, and you can't just give up the reading his plays. So that was his genius.